Not the best cigar. Welcome to today's video. Sitting here. Cheap cigars. Ugh. So today's video is about the little update. I'm here in Florida doing some work. I'm going to be here for at least the year, possibly many years. We'll see. Building a little business here. I'm doing some daily claims with a local firm that non-catastrophe stuff. So I'm not chasing storms right now. I'm just doing work within the zone that I live, which is Florida, South Florida, Tampa South, more or less. And that's been going good. A little bit of a change for me because I'm not traveling, and you guys know I love to travel, love to hike. I kind of needed to get a break and kind of got traveled out a little bit. Ran out of money, ran out of places to go, and just kind of went, need to reset and do some work on things. So I've been doing that. But the title of today's video was attachment trauma, and I want to talk about this because on this channel I am vlogging my life, and it's about my hair. It's about nomadic recovery. Being nomadic, that's obvious. You see the hiking videos, but the recovery part really, as I've said before, is about recovering from a lot of things. What I'm finding out, I think it is recovering yourself, your authentic self. And that ties into today's discussion. It's also recovery from alcohol, which is a big nemesis of mine, and it could apply to something else you're going through. Recovery from drugs, recovery from addictive anything, right? And this all comes down to emotional pain. So we're going to talk a little bit about emotional pain. We're going to talk about love and lack of it, and two topics to kind of go together: attachment trauma and complex PTSD. And I thought I'd do that by sitting down on this nice beautiful day, smoke a little cigar. Some people have told me they think that this is pompous, that they have an image that if you smoke a cigar, you're trying to be arrogant. I find that weird, but cigar is something that I picked up in the last couple of years only. I smoke one of these a day, maybe every other day. Not really even a whole one. Of course, you don't breathe them in, but they do taste good. There's a taste that they have. It's really good with coffee. I don't like the smoke, but anyway, we're doing that. It does relax me. It gives me a shot of nicotine, and I like the nicotine. So let's talk about it. Put on thinking glasses. Something happened to me in the last month or so that opened up my life. I needed it opened up, and apparently I think you go in phases as you're learning to grow through life. I think we grow always, and for my life it seems like whenever I get something accomplished, or I feel like, oh, I got that figured out, immediately another tragedy happens. Usually some kind of difficulty, collapse, financial, physical, health, something. Okay, this has to do with relationships and attachment trauma, and how complex PTSD affects people having relationships. So before I tell you what happened, let me tell you what those things are. To start with that, I'm going to give you two YouTube channels that I'm going to refer in the description that helped me tremendously in the last month in some personal growth. So first one is Alan Robarge, R-O-B-A-R-G-E. He's a psychotherapist specializing in attachment trauma, And the second channel is the crappy childhood fairy. Crappy childhood fairy. Both her focus is on complex PTSD related to mostly to childhood, and both of these topics are about that. So basically, when you have I'll even step back one more level and say this ties into nomadic recovery, because it's about recovering. First thing is, I'm going to state right now, I hate doing this because I know how easy it is to fail, but I'm committing to being sober now. Hasn't been very many days, actually. I'm always committing to being sober, and then 2 days go by and then I start again. But I'm really wanting to get completely free of alcohol. And although getting to the woods and nature and hiking and traveling and introspection, I read a lot of theological stuff. I'm a studier. I read and study different religions, different philosophical views. You know, the big question of why am I here and what's my purpose? And those metaphysical questions plague me, always have. So if you can picture that statue, the guy going, that's me, okay? And I'm sure that contributes to my internal turmoil that leads to drinking and other addictive behaviors. Because there's a sense of chaos and of unknown. The ground is shifting. I'm not sure why I'm here. I'm not sure. It's an ancient problem for a lot of people. Some people don't have this issue. They don't think about it. They just want to live life, have fun, make some kids, pay the bills, watch Netflix, and move on. And I've never been like that. I feel spiritual things and deep thinking is important. It's literally the point of our existence on some level. But add to that mind, if you have childhood wounds, and this is where this is connected to these two topics. I'll try to do this quick. If you've been raised in a family where you have had some kind of trauma emotionally, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, just any kind of abuse, and even just emotional abandonment. You've got a parent who's in the house but just is not there, doesn't know how to be a father, doesn't know how to be a mother. Maybe you've got a father or a mother that's too needy and they think that you are somehow merged to the hip with them. Maybe you've got a combination of that. Maybe you have an actual parent that actually left, you know, physically left your life. You've been abandoned, literally. But you can feel abandoned even when the person's in your life, right? And what happens is these are and worse things than that. But you don't have to be beaten with a pole every day to get really messed up emotionally, traumatized as a little child. We're talking up to the age of 3 or 4. Our brains wire, and what they're wiring to is the same thing the brain does all the time for you. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you alive. It's trying to see what's safe. And so you have people that are your caregivers who, for their own reasons, in their own childhoods usually, don't know how to love you properly, don't give you any love, or give you abusive love. There's chaos and fighting between them. There's just a sense of the world is on fire and I never know how I'm going to survive tomorrow. That was my childhood. And that's the childhood of a lot of people. And I'm not saying mine's the worst, but it's bad enough. But everybody's got their own story, right? Their own worst. Well, when that goes on as a little kid, your brain starts forming how to handle the world around you. And you start to learn a couple of things. One of them is how to survive. So sometimes kids get very quiet and hide in the corner. Some of them, and it can be a combination of a lot of things. Some of them fight, some of them flee, some of them, in my case, many of them do take it all on themselves, feel responsible, like my parents are constantly screaming and fighting, it must be my fault. if they're literally telling you it's your fault, which is what happened to me, you believe that, right? Your belief system is set. And you start trying to find out how to survive this. You might even make up fantasies, imaginary friends. There's been documented cases of people that actually leave their body when they're in such a scared, or they're being beaten or something. They'll pop out of their body and go away. Okay, or have blacked out memories or all that stuff. Well, your brain gets wired that way. Now, down the road, you've also done one other thing, trying to protect yourself, but you also learn, coincidentally, incorrectly, but you believe this is love. This is your example of love. These are the people that love you. And again, not trying to throw them under the bus. They have their own reasons for that stuff, and that's not what this video is about. But we have to be real here. We have to be stating fact. You know, many people, including my own parents, have that childhood. So now you're older, you've escaped, hopefully. A lot of people will do, what do you do? People run out, marry the first person they fall in love with, or they get into drugs, they get into this, they get into that. I mean, they can find all kinds of ways to try to survive and learn about life. And then as you get older, you start looking back and you might have a pattern of bad relationships, destroyed relationships, choosing the wrong person, being attracted to people that don't even like you, being attracted to people that like you, but they're not fully in, guess what? They're not emotionally available. So what you've done is your brain is still thinking that toxic, unhealthy people who have their own issues. It's not that we don't love them as people, but they have their issues. They're not done with their own work. They're bad for you. The person, the kid, the little child is seeking love, is still trying to find that love and be loved the way everybody should be loved. And at the same time, you're attracted to the very people who can't give you that love for their own reasons. They run away. They're selfish. Maybe they're not even into you. You know, a lot of reasons. They're just not available. In this case, we're going to focus on the abandonment, not available, because that's really my category. So I have a history of that. And you can't figure out why you can't have a relationship the way you really want, because these things are interacting in between. Well, initially, when you're younger, you may not even know what this is. Well, over the years, I've worked through a lot of this stuff. But this is called complex post-traumatic stress. It's very similar to war victims, or physical battery, and it's the same kind of thing. It's trauma that gets imprinted on your brain. Your brain sees it coming a mile away, even when it doesn't exist. So now we'll talk about what happened to me and why I'm bringing this up, because this has to do with recovery. I've intentionally been alone for 5 or 6 years, pretty much, meaning no romantic relationships. I'm kind of a loner anyway, because I hide. Part of running to the woods and all of my love for the woods is I find peace when I'm alone there. I probably could be there by myself almost all the time. But that, I'm finding out, is also a symptom of this. It's avoidance, so that you can't get hurt, right? Well, that works, sort of, but it's very lonely after a while. Because even though I'm a loner, you still want relationship, you still want friends, you still want family, you still want maybe a girlfriend, or somebody that has a partner. Can't risk it, gonna stay alone. Let me just take my little dog and I'll get in a trailer and be gone. And that's where I've been for 6 or 7 years. I still have my family, I stay in touch, in contact, I come back, but I gotta get out. I gotta get out. I'm always like that. And I think I've come to the end of that a little bit, working through that, and I got out plenty. Come to a point where you can't run from yourself anymore. Happened upon somebody that I ended up very quickly, had 2 or 3 days together, hanging out, and we liked each other, and it totally shocked me. I mean, I wasn't expecting that, And it was awesome. Had a great couple of 3 days hiking and hanging out, and there seemed to be a potential something there. But some of the things that this person did and had and said, nothing wrong, nothing weird, nothing abnormal, just wasn't available. Okay, kind of said, I'm not available, but I am available. And I'm sure to that person, whatever they were saying made perfect sense. To me, what I heard was, and again, this is not necessarily based in reality, folks. This is reality. Me right here, normal person, every day, doing my job, doing my work, hanging out with that person for the first few days. But something happened after we got back to normal life and kind of separated briefly. I started freaking out on a level I don't think I've ever done. I did this once before when somebody literally abandoned me. I had a very serious relationship, and she took off after 9 months and just went off the edge of the world and disappeared, never gave me a reason why. Just broke my heart, just left. Finally got a message some months later, hey, thanks for the good times, I just had a change of heart. It was so nice to know you. It was like, we were talking about getting married. I mean, it was like, what? And I realized, wow, there's some people out there, you have got to be careful with who you give your heart to. That just added to the danger list. And I think I haven't really run across anybody like that I felt somewhat connected to until recently, until this person. Well, didn't know this person that well. Built it up probably more in my mind, which is also part of this thing. You just get sideswiped and think, man, this could be somebody, this could be the one, this could be, wow, and suddenly that need for love, which has been dormant pretty much, instead of having time to, I think if I would have had time to prepare, knowing that's what we were going to talk about, I didn't have time for that. So it just coincidentally went poof and opened me up. And all of a sudden that trauma is what was waiting for me. And what this is, I've done the research on those 2 websites, and they've really helped me a lot, is the very thing you want as a child with PTSD, abusive childhood, or even just stressful, whatever you want to call it. The very place where your brain wants to open up a relationship with somebody, the stronger the relationship, the more risk, is the very place that it's wired from what it knew as love in the first place, right? It learns how to do relationship as a child. So you are attracted to people that are not completely available. I think in this case that was true. Doesn't mean it was wrong, but it just means that was a situation. And instead of going, well, I don't think this person's quite on the same page as I am right now, that's fine, we'll just be friends and check in now and then and whatever, which would have been a normal response, probably the response she was trying to do. I got terrified, and when I mean terrified, I mean my logical self was gone. I started just like, I felt like my brain was going 2 different directions at once. I couldn't sleep for days. I was freaking out, having anxiety attacks. And on top of that, I was drinking. And I just started drinking more because I was like, I gotta calm down and go to sleep. And it just put gas on the fire. And then as I would communicate with this person who was just, checking in now and then every couple of days, hey, what's going on? I was dumping this chaos and insanity on her. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, God, what am I doing? No. And then I try to fix it. Then I have a strong sense of guilt. So I felt like, oh God, what have I done? And I try to fix it, It just made me seem crazier. And so by the time a week or 2 went by, I took this potential something, wasn't anything yet, but was starting to be, could be. I took that and just blew it up. I mean, I blew it up, set it on fire, nuked it, and buried it to a smoking heap within 2 weeks, a week. And even as I was doing it, I would lay in bed at night afterwards and go, God, I hope she doesn't, I know that was crazy. I hope that this doesn't ruin it. And even had a couple chances where she was like, hey, just need to calm down or whatever. And I think she tried to give me some reassurance. Everything's fine. What's your problem? it didn't matter because she wasn't speaking to me. She was speaking to this child, this terrified brain. And this is a brain issue. I find this interesting. It's a brain, the neuroplasticity of the brain. Your brain tries to protect you. And so from real threats or imagined. And this was imagined. Now, there might have been some reality to it. This person might not have been ever truly available to the level I wanted her to be, I think. And that would have been fine. That's her right. I just could not think it normally. So, I just ruined it, and eventually, she cut me off, and I was like, I felt a sense of incredible relief, even though as I was being, yep, I'm the crazy one, yep, I did it, here we go, well, I took it as far as it can go. Now she's never going to talk to me again, which is probably true. I still had a great sense of relief, even though at the same time I was like, God, I really like that person. I wish that didn't happen. Why am I doing this? It's almost like two things are going on in your brain. Your logical self, yourself, what you really want, your soul, right? And then your trauma-trained brain was in between and running the car, and I could not get a hold of the steering wheel. I could not. I was tied up, thrown in the trunk. I could not get it. So, of course, that runs people off. It destroys relationships. I destroyed many friendships over this. I've had to have some very patient friends over the years. The very few that hang with me know, especially in the past, I would just get drunk and, or not even drunk, just get too close. I got to get out of here, and run away. And none of that is me. So I always thought that was me. I must be something wrong with me. I must be crazy, So I tried to work on it, or I tried to stay alone. But I've realized and this is the part I want to get to here. If you're having trouble with this, relationships like this, if you're terrified, if you're too needy, sometimes it's too needy, sometimes it's too, I can't connect, sometimes it's I'm running away, sometimes I'm fighting. There's a lot of different ways. It may be this post-traumatic stress from childhood. If you've had you don't have to have a father beating you with a bat. It could just be poverty. It could just be you never could pay the bills and your parents were always stressed and screaming, and it could be a lot of things. It could be somebody broke your heart and abandoned you. It could be a combination. It's usually in your childhood, but not always. Check out those channels. Alan Robarge is excellent. The Crappy Childhood Fairy is excellent. And there's a couple others that are really good too. So, if you're having that trouble, obviously adding alcohol to the mix, I probably could have salvaged it if I wasn't drinking. If I could have stayed calm long enough to realize reality was not what my brain was telling me. My brain was telling you, run for your effing life. This person, the one you want, is sort of not available. So you want them, but what happened with that in the past? Well, those are the people that hurt you, even if they didn't mean to. Pain is coming, and it is very much the same as if you used to be punched by your father or something, and when somebody or a dog that gets whipped a lot, and then you get them from the shelter, and when you raise your hand too fast, right? It's your brain saying to survive. You've got to survive. But the problem is that is not real anymore, right? That's in the past, and this short, quick little friendship or whatever we had that found somebody I really connected with, I destroyed it, and I really regret that. I wish I hadn't. However, at the same time, I realized it was a gift because it made me go, it's time to grow. Wow, I got things to work on. What the hell was that? Sent me into a lot of research, and I had to make a decision. Do I want to do this work? I had this thought in my head, or do I just go back to my trailer? But no, this person showed me in a couple of 3 days that there are people out there that I could connect with, and I don't want to be completely alone and lonely forever. You find somebody that likes to get in the woods like you do, and it's like, yeah, that's probably what was so powerful. There was a lot of connections there, a lot of different things that fit. So I decided I'm going to do the work, and that's where I went into, because I've been doing, that's what I decided a long time ago. I kind of knew what this was. We all know about this kind of childhood stuff, and I've approached it from different angles through counseling, Tony Robbins, and little bit of AA in the past, and this and that. But this is really the key point here, I think. This attachment trauma is what they call it. When you want to attach, if you haven't resolved or worked or understand what your trauma is, it could trigger your brain to go into a literal brain loop, and you just loop. And that's what I kept saying. I'm looping. I don't know what the hell was going on. Could not get it to stop. Like an obsessive compulsive craziness of terror, just internal terror. And so what I've learned is that will happen. You'll be triggered. Certain things trigger people differently, but fear of abandonment, fear of something succeeding. Because you're too close now, you're trapped. I feel trapped all the time. It's a terrible thing, because it's not who we really are. Okay, it's a baggage, inheritance of things that were laid upon you as a child. And if you experience this in your life at any age, and it will continue until you die unless you resolve it, or you just hide and try to avoid it, which is miserable. How do you solve it? Well, I'm working through it now, and I think you solve it by actually having relationships. And if you can spend enough time with this person, or first of all, you got to find the right person that really does want to invest a little bit in you, a little time at least, to say, at some point you got to say, hey, I got this issue. When I freak out, I'm trying to work through this, and you work, and maybe it doesn't work, maybe another one doesn't work, but you try. And the first way you do it is you educate yourself. You figure out what this is. Part of it right now I'm telling you, but go ahead and look at these channels, do the research, because once you understand it, hey, this is your brain. You're not mentally ill. You're not crazy. You're not a bad person. You're not broken. You just have exactly what you should have from a traumatic childhood, and your brain is trying to save you. The problem is it's sabotaging you. The past does not exist. It's smoke in the wind and gone. Cloud that passes by and it's gone. It existed, it's real, but once it's gone, you can't even go back there. You can't do anything about it. It's gone, right? This seems obvious, but when you have wounds and traumas, PTSD, same thing with people coming home from war. Yeah, the war's over, but why do they have so many problems? You can't just dismiss it. It's real. But the reality is, it's not real anymore, okay? So we have to find that work, do that work to connect our logical brain, our regular person, our inner soul that wants to love and attach and have a wonderful relationship and have good people in your life, with the brain who has been protecting you since childhood and is still trying to, even though it's jeopardized, it's screwing you up. It's ruining relationships that could possibly at least have a chance to be investigated, right? In this case, it was like, awesome, set on fire, okay, all done. It was crazy. And I've never done that quickly before, but probably because I thought it was something important, probably more important than it really was, but that's part of it. So it's a sad thing, the very thing you want, you're reaching for, is the thing that terrorizes you, the thing you overdo and you grab too quickly and you're too needy and that scares people away. It's not that you're crazy. It's that you have some work to do and trauma to resolve. And that takes a lot more courage to sit and face yourself and go, I want to have something that I can offer somebody. This is the big part of it for me. I don't want to put that on her. I really feel bad about that, because that's not who I am, without that brain triggering and going into crazy mode. I'm not like that. I don't ever want to put that on anybody. I also don't want to just never be able to have a good relationship and blow it up every time you get close to somebody that actually probably is the right one. Maybe you kill it, destroy it, I don't ever want to do that again. So if I'm going to be prepared for that, I need to do some work. These are decisions you have to make. These are worth it. It's a lot of work. It's hard to face your issues, but these are not, but it made me give me some comfort. It wasn't like, this isn't my issue. This is my brain. Kind of similar to if somebody has Asperger's or other autistic issues, not the same cause, not quite exactly the same, but it's kind of the similar, where you recognize this person is doing this because their brain is wired a certain way. Well, trauma can do that to you, but fortunately it can be undone, or it can be eased. It can be dealt with. You can get triggered, but you know what it is. You're prepared, you've practiced, and you can breathe, and you can sit in it and not be terrified. I did that a couple of days. But when I added the alcohol, you have no control over your emotions, and then all that junk comes out, junk you would never say and you don't really mean, and just try to protect yourself, and all right, well, screw you, I'm out of here then, Then you wake up and go, what? Who the hell did that? Why did that happen? And it was just that kind of thing. So this is the announcement, and I'm not guaranteeing anything, but because I know I will never say never, because I know that's not real. But I have decided to be sober, because this episode has shown me that, although I already knew this, recovery is something that has to happen if I want to have the best life that I can have. It's a phrase that person used. Every day is a new opportunity to live your best life. Start over. And I'm like, that's pretty damn good way to look at things. If I'm going to do that, if I want to have anything to offer anybody, if I want to be the best businessman, best hiker, best father, best musician, best everything, I got to quit giving so much of my life, or my energy, or my body, or my relationships to this fucking bottle of poison. Okay? And I'm not the worst. I still live normally, I work and everything, but it won't let go, and it's really pissing me off. And that just was the last straw. Like, wow, after all these years working on myself, being alone, then somebody appears out of nowhere, you don't expect it. Those are the good ones sometimes, and it gets destroyed because of alcohol and childhood pain that has nothing to do with me. Neither one of those things do. So, being honest with you guys, because that's what this is about. I have no reason to not be. This channel is about my life of blogging and sharing the nature and sharing the challenges we have as humans. We're all humans, and really looking at different religious ideas, Buddhism and one, and Christianity. I've always been raised a Christian, but loving your neighbor, loving God, that's our purpose. Our purpose isn't just to struggle through and survive and hopefully can make it and pay the bills, and that's just nonsense. You know that I think that's nonsense. But I've really come to realize I can't fully love even the person that I might want to love in the future if I don't get this work done. I'm really sabotaging my own purpose to help the world community as a family, one person at a time. So I hope that this helps you. If you have an issue with alcohol, get some help. Don't wait. It isn't going to get any better. You're not going to be able to do it yourself. Well, I'll just speak for myself. I couldn't do it. And I don't even like AA, so I'm not sure AA is the only path, but if AA works for you, do it. I have many friends that do. And just have some hope, man. You deserve a good life. You deserve the best you can have. You deserve not to be tripped up and destroyed by things that happened to you as a kid that you had no control over, right? And those things stay there. Unless they're worked on, they'll stay there till you're 150. And then you try to have a relationship at 150, and you'll be the same as you were at the age of 5. Unless you open it up, look at it, clean the garage, clean the space in your heart, learn to get some skills to handle it, and remove the poisonous people, poisonous substances, poisonous thinking. That's a big one in your own head. These are all really good things. Once you get going, it's exciting to see that you can have happiness. I thought I was fairly happy. I was actually pretty lonely, and then this person kind of exposed that to me. But it set a bunch of things in motion that are still going. Good changes in my life. Really sad that it happened. Still regret it, but you know what? We learn, right? Isn't life about that? So we learn together. We help each other. That's my ramble. That's my rant. Nomadic recovery is about recovering yourself. What would you have been as a child if you'd never been abused or threatened or abandoned? And there's a few of you out there that haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. I think most people do, but some don't, and God bless you. Use that normalness that you have to help people, because it's a hard-fought prize for most of us. And everybody's got different degrees. Some are worse than others. Some had it worse. Some handle it better. But if you're a sensitive, loving person, which is what we all are here to do, you can get crushed as a kid. And you can spend the rest of your life just trying to work through it. And maybe that's why I'm here on earth. That's my challenge, I guess, that has been given me and all of us. But I'm here for you. I'm here for those that are going through it. Put your stories in the comments if you want. I don't have many followers, but maybe this will get out there to somebody if they need it. You're worth it. It's not cliche. You really deserve to have good relationships, even with yourself. You deserve to feel good, and I hope you do. So I hope this made sense. Now my cigar is out. Gotta start over. I look at it like this is a much less once every other day or a couple of cigars a week. A little nicotine blood ain't gonna kill you. I don't feel like I'm addicted to it, but it does give me some pleasure. It calms my brain. Meditation, that's another one. We're gonna do some videos on this stuff that has been helping me. So until then, get to the woods. Love you guys, and let me know what you thought of the video. All right, talk to you later.